The facade of peace. The grand pavilion of unity aboard the Galactic Council station shimmered with light reflected from 1,000 crystalline fixtures. Representatives from over 200 sentient species mingled in what had become the greatest diplomatic gathering in the known galaxy. At the center of it all, Ambassador Eliana Chen moved with practiced grace, her simple white diplomatic uniform standing out among the elaborate garments and exoskeletons of the alien delegates. The human art exhibition has been the highlight of the cultural exchange, rumbled Delegate Zorv, a massive arthropoid whose chitinous exoskeleton gleamed with ceremonial paint, particularly those sound sculptures that respond to emotional resonance. Remarkable work for a species so young. Chen smiled warmly, inclining her head. Thank you, Delegate. Our artists will be honored by your appreciation. We believe art builds bridges between different minds better than any formal treaty. From across the pavilion, Captain Thrax of the Varaxian Empire observed the exchange with narrowed, compound eyes. The Varaxians were relative newcomers to the Galactic Council, having joined only 30 standard years ago. Their warrior culture had dominated 3 neighboring star systems before reluctantly agreeing to the Council's terms of peace. Look at them, Thrax said to his subordinate, Commander Krell. Once they were feared warriors. The history archives show they nearly destroyed their own world multiple times with increasingly devastating weapons. Now they create art. He spat the last word as if it tasted foul. Krell's facial ridges flexed in the Varaxian expression of contempt. Humans have grown soft. For 150 years, they have steadily dismantled their military capabilities, converting warships into cultural vessels and research platforms. Their colonies are defended by nothing more than automated warning systems. What happened to them? Asked a younger Varaxian officer. Peace happened, Thrax said. They joined the Galactic Council and surrendered their warrior spirit for political favor. Now they're beloved by all, celebrated for their music, their literature, their scientific advancements, while their defensive capabilities wither. In another section of the pavilion, Admiral Marcus Reynolds, officially listed as Earth's Cultural Defense Liaison, stood with the Andromedan representative watching a holographic display of Earth's latest deep space observatory. Impressive resolution, the Andromedan commented, its translucent tentacles waving in appreciation. Your species' obsession with looking outward serves the galaxy well. Reynolds smiled politely. Curiosity has always been our driving force. His communication implant vibrated subtly against his inner ear. Reynolds excused himself and walked, casually, to a private alcove. Secure channel established, whispered a voice directly into his auditory nerve. This is Director Okafor. We have a situation developing. Varaxian fleet movements have been detected near the Proxima Colony research stations. Reynolds maintained his relaxed posture even as his mind raced through strategic calculations. The Council was informed these are routine exercises. New intelligence suggests otherwise. 3 Varaxian battle groups have disabled their transponders after entering the Tau Ceti system. They're running silent. Recommendations? Reynolds asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Activation of Contingency Level 2. Authorization Code, Sleeping Sentinel. Reynolds felt a chill run down his spine. Level 2 hadn't been activated in 30 years. Understood. How much time do we have? 48 hours, perhaps less. I've already alerted the Proxima Defense Grid. Remember, absolute discretion, always. Reynolds ended the communication and rejoined the reception, his expression betraying nothing of the storm brewing inside. Across the room, Ambassador Chen had joined a panel discussion on interspecies cultural adaptations. Her eloquent discourse on humanity's transition from a conflicted past to a harmonious present drew appreciative murmurs from the assembled delegates. Humans have embraced peace not as a political necessity, but as an evolutionary advantage, she explained. Our history taught us that aggression is ultimately self-defeating. We've channeled those energies into exploration, artistic expression, and scientific advancement. Chen believed every word she said. Most humans did. They lived in a society that had seemingly transcended its violent past. where military history was studied alongside other primitive behaviors long outgrown. Captain Thrax listened to Chen's speech with growing disdain. "Such pretty lies," he muttered to Krell. "Or perhaps they've told themselves these things for so long they actually believe them." "The High Command will be pleased with our reports," Krell replied quietly. "The human colonies will fall easily, and their homeworld has no significant orbital defenses. Our analysts estimate complete subjugation within 2 standard months." Thrax's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. After a century and a half of peace, they've forgotten how to fight. As the reception concluded, Reynolds made his way to the Earth Embassy section of the station. He entered his private quarters and activated the highest level of security protocols. The room's surfaces shimmered briefly as counter-surveillance measures engaged. From beneath his bed, he retrieved a small box that appeared to be nothing more than a memento collection. His thumbprint triggered a hidden mechanism, revealing a compartment containing what looked like an antique paper notebook and a mechanical pencil, technology so primitive that modern scanning systems ignored it completely. Reynolds began writing. In a precise cipher. His message would be physically transported to Earth via diplomatic courier, the only completely secure method of communication in an age of quantum interception. Contingency Level 2 initiated. Varaxian aggressive posture confirmed. Recommend activation of dormant defense protocols within 36 hours. Sleeping Sentinel is awakening. The next day, in a nondescript office building in Geneva, Director Nadia Okafor reviewed the latest intelligence reports with growing concern. Unlike the public-facing Global Harmony Department where she officially worked, this underground facility housed the Strategic Continuity Office, an organization whose existence was known to fewer than 300 people on Earth. "The Varaxians have been systematically probing our colony defenses for months," said Colonel Javier Martinez, pushing holographic data across the table. "Small incursions disguised as navigational errors, scanners masked as commercial vessels. They're mapping our response capabilities, or the lack thereof," added Dr. Imani Okeki, Chief of Technological Development. "From their perspective, our colonies appear virtually defenseless." Okafor nodded. "That's by design. Operation Sleeping Sentinel has been in effect for 127 years. Most humans, even those in our highest government positions, believe we truly did dismantle our military capabilities. The greatest deception in human history," Martinez said quietly. "Convincing not just our potential enemies, but our own people, that we had embraced absolute pacifism." "It was necessary," Okafor replied. "After the last war, humanity was on the brink of self-destruction. When we made first contact and joined the Galactic Council, we recognized the opportunity to rebuild differently, to create a society genuinely focused on peace and progress, while maintaining insurance." Dr. Okeki brought up a new series of holographic projections. Seemingly innocuous structures across Earth and its colonies began transforming in the display, revealing hidden weapon systems, shield generators, and launch bays. "Every piece of significant infrastructure built in the last century has been dual-purpose," Okeki explained. "Space elevators that can become orbital defense platforms, art installations that house planetary shield generators, research vessels, equipped with military-grade propulsion and weapon systems that can be activated with a single command code." "And our personnel?" asked Martinez. Okafor smiled thinly. "The integration of defense training into education and recreation has been completely successful. Most participants believe they're engaging in cultural traditions or sports with historical roots. In reality, they've been maintaining combat readiness through martial arts, strategic games, and simulation exercises disguised as entertainment." AGI. Junior officer entered the room and handed Okafor a sealed envelope, another paper communication, bypassing all digital networks. She read it quickly, her expression darkening. "It's from Admiral Reynolds. The Varaxians have accelerated their timeline. 3 battle groups are on an intercept course with Proxima Colony. Estimated arrival, 18 hours. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "They believe we're defenseless," Martinez said finally. They've watched us create art and pursue science for over a century. They think we've forgotten how to fight. Then perhaps, Okafor said, her voice steel beneath silk. It's time we reminded them of our history. Activate Sleeping Sentinel. Authorization. Okafor Prime Phoenix Dawn. Across Earth and throughout human space, hidden systems began to receive the encrypted signal. In museums, universities, parks, and orbital platforms, dormant technology stirred to life. In the homes of millions of citizens who had lived their entire lives as artists, scientists, teachers, and explorers, small personal devices chimed with an alert sound they had been told was merely a civic emergency test, one that had never before been activated. At Proxima Colony, Dr. Elisa Kagawa was calibrating the massive radio telescope array when the alert sounded. She frowned at her communication device, then felt a surge of adrenaline as she recognized the signal pattern, something she had been briefed on years ago when she accepted the position at the allegedly civilian research station. She walked calmly to her office, locked the door, and placed her palm on what appeared to be a decorative wall panel. The panel slid aside to reveal a small chamber containing a uniform she had never worn and weapons she had never fired, yet somehow knew exactly how to use. As she changed clothes, her mind shifted into a psychological state she had unknowingly been conditioned to access through years of meditative practices and historical immersion games. Director Kagawa of the Proxima Research Initiative ceased to exist. In her place stood Commander Kagawa of Earth Defense Forces, ready to lead the colony's protection. Throughout the colony, similar transformations occurred as researchers, administrators, and support staff accessed hidden equipment and recalled training they didn't realize they possessed. In orbit above Proxima Colony, the research vessel Galileo received the activation signal. Captain Sarah Chen, who had spent her career believing she commanded a scientific exploration ship, felt a strange clarity descend as dormant neural implants activated. Memories of classified briefings and training simulations surfaced in her consciousness. "Captain?" her first officer asked, looking equally disoriented as his own implanted memories activated. "Sleeping Sentinel protocol is in effect," Chen said, her voice steady with newfound certainty. "Prepare the ship for combat configuration." Throughout the Galileo, panels slid open to reveal weapon stations. The ship's outer hull began to transform as defensive plating extended, and weapon ports appeared, where sensor arrays had seemingly been mounted. What had appeared to be a lightly armed research vessel revealed itself as a heavily armed corvette. Across human space, the sleeping sentinel was awakening. A century of careful preparation was about to be tested against an enemy who believed they were facing a civilization that had forgotten war. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The calculated deception. The Varaxian assault force emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima system, their warships arranged in perfect attack formation. From the command deck of the flagship Relentless Claw, War Commander Grekthar surveyed the tactical display with satisfaction. 3 colonies, minimal defenses, and only a handful of what appeared to be research vessels in orbit. "Pitiful," he remarked to his second-in-command. "The humans have grown so comfortable in their peace they've forgotten the most basic principle of survival. Always be prepared for war." Intelligence reports confirm no military-grade weapons or shielding at any of the orbital facilities, his tactical officer added. Their ground installations appear to be primarily scientific in nature. Grekthar's facial ridges rippled with anticipation. "Begin the approach. Weapons hot. Let's remind these humans what real power looks like." As the Varaxian fleet accelerated toward Proxima Colony, an alert sounded on the tactical display. "Sir, we're detecting energy fluctuations from the research station," reported the sensor operator, confusion evident in her voice. "And the human vessels, they're changing." On the main view screen, the Varaxians watched in disbelief as the supposedly civilian installations began to transform. Panels slid open on the research station revealing weapon ports. The largest, human vessel, designated as a deep space telescope platform, was reconfiguring before their eyes, its central array splitting apart to reveal what appeared to be a massive energy cannon. "Impossible," breathed Grekthar. Our intelligence, incoming transmission from the human vessel, interrupted the communications officer. The screen shifted to show Captain Sarah Chen, now dressed in a uniform the Varaxians had never seen before, sleek, functional, with rank insignia that had not been publicly displayed in over a century. Varaxian vessels, this is Captain Chen of the Earth defense ship Galileo. You have entered human space with weapons active and on an attack vector. This constitutes an act of war under Galactic Council protocols. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. Grekthar recovered quickly from his surprise. Human deception, interesting, but your bluff is transparent. Our intelligence has monitored your peaceful civilization for decades. Whatever weapons you've hastily mounted cannot match a Varaxian battle fleet. Chen's expression remained calm. This is your final warning, Commander. Withdraw or face the consequences of your aggression. Grekthar cut the transmission with a dismissive gesture. All ships advance and fire at will. Let's see what these peaceful humans consider to be defenses. The Varaxian vessels launched their attack, energy weapons blazing toward the human installations, only to impact against shields that shouldn't have existed. The human response was immediate and devastating. Weapon systems that had been disguised as scientific equipment unleashed precisely targeted fire that disabled the propulsion systems of 2 Varaxian cruisers in the first volley. Status report, Grekthar demanded as his flagship shuddered under unexpected impact. Their weapons are far more advanced than our intelligence suggested, his tactical officer replied, mandibles clicking in agitation. They're targeting our ships with surgical precision, disabling rather than destroying. How is this possible? Grekthar snarled. They're pacifists. They've spent generations creating art and exploring the cosmos. Sir, his second-in-command said quietly, I believe we've been deceived. Not just recently, but systematically, for generations. At the Galactic Council Station, chaos erupted as news of the conflict reached the diplomatic corps. Ambassador Chen was summoned to an emergency session of the Security Council, where representatives from the founding worlds demanded explanations. Humanity has maintained the pretense of complete disarmament for over a century, accused the Yao. Rigelian delegate, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The entire basis of your admission to the Council was your commitment to absolute pacifism. Chen stood calmly before the Council, her diplomatic training serving her well despite her own shock at the revelations unfolding across human space. Distinguished delegates, she began, I stand before you as surprised as you are by these developments. Like most citizens of Earth and her colonies, I believed wholeheartedly in our commitment to peace and the dismantling of our military capabilities. Murmurs spread through the chamber as council members processed this statement. Are you claiming, the Arcturian chair being asked incredulously, that Earth's government concealed this from its own diplomatic corps, from its own citizens? That appears to be the case, Chen acknowledged. I have just been informed that a classified organization called the Strategic Continuity Office has maintained defensive capabilities in secret for generations, integrating them into our infrastructure and training our people through methods disguised as cultural practices. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of outraged voices. When order was finally restored, the Andromedan representative raised a tentacle. While this deception is deeply troubling, we cannot ignore the fact that it was the Varaxians who launched an unprovoked attack on a human colony. Our monitoring stations confirm they entered the Proxima system with weapons active and on an attack trajectory. Back on Earth, Director Okafor stood in the Global Command Center as reports flowed in from across human space. The hidden defense network was performing even better than their simulations had predicted. At Proxima Colony, the Varaxian attack had been repelled with minimal damage to human infrastructure and no civilian casualties. Status of the sleeping Sentinel activation? She asked. Colonel Martinez studied the holographic display. 97% complete. Military installations disguised as civilian infrastructure have been activated across all 42 colonies. The orbital defense platforms around Earth are online. Our fleet vessels have completed their transformation and are moving to defensive positions. And the public response? Dr. Okiki brought up the social media feeds and news broadcasts. Initial shock is giving way to a complex mix of reactions. Some are outraged at the deception, others relieved that we maintain defenses. The message from President Garcia is scheduled in 15 minutes to explain Operation Sleeping Sentinel to the public. Okafor nodded. This moment had been planned for, the inevitable day when humanity's greatest deception would have to be revealed, not just to potential enemies, but to their own people. The Varaxians are regrouping, Martinez reported. Long range. Sensors indicate they're calling in reinforcements from their core systems. They still don't understand what they're facing, Okafor said quietly. They think we hastily activated some hidden weapons. They have no idea of the true scope of sleeping. Sentinel. Throughout human territory, the transformation continued. In New Paris Colony, the Central Cultural Dome, famous for its acoustic perfection and revolutionary architecture, reconfigured into a planetary defense center, its beautiful spires revealing themselves as energy projectors for a shield system that could protect the entire settlement. On Mars, the Ancient History Museum, a sprawling complex dedicated to Earth's pre-space civilization, opened hidden chambers where advanced weapon systems had been maintained by curators who had believed they were simply preserving historical artifacts, not maintaining operational weapons. Even the orbiting Gardens of Contemplation, a massive rotating habitat where artists from across the galaxy came to find inspiration among carefully cultivated Earth species, revealed its dual purpose as a fully equipped military command center with oversight of the entire Sol system's defenses. Most remarkable of all was the human response. Citizens who had lived their entire lives as artists, scientists, educators, and explorers found themselves accessing training and knowledge they hadn't known they possessed. The historical reenactment societies that practiced ancient martial arts as cultural preservation discovered they had been maintaining combat readiness. The strategic simulation games popular throughout human space had been training exercises in disguise. On the Galileo, Captain Chen coordinated with the newly activated defense forces around Proxima Colony. Her crew, scientists and researchers, who had awakened to their secondary training, worked with professional efficiency that would have been impossible without the careful conditioning hidden in their team-building exercises and historical immersion experiences. The Varaxians are retreating to the system's edge, reported her tactical officer, a woman who had believed herself to be an astrophysicist until 12 hours ago. They're maintaining position just beyond our weapons range. They're confused, Chen said. Everything they thought they knew about us has been proven wrong. They're reassessing. Captain, we're receiving a priority communication from Earth Command. The main screen shifted to show Director Okafor. Captain Chen, excellent work repelling the initial attack. Your crew performed admirably. Thank you, Director. Though I must admit it's disconcerting to discover that my entire career has been something other than what I believed. Okafor's expression softened momentarily. The deception was necessary, Captain. We needed our people to truly embrace peace, to become the artists, explorers, and thinkers we presented to the galaxy. The Strategic Continuity Office merely ensured we maintained the ability to defend that peaceful existence if necessary. What are our orders now? Defensive posture only. We've activated Phase 2 of Sleeping Sentinel across all human territory. The Varaxians will soon discover that what they encountered at Proxima was just the beginning. On the Varaxian flagship, War Commander Grekthar faced an increasingly desperate situation. What was supposed to be a simple subjugation of unprepared colonies had turned into a military disaster. 3 of his vessels had been disabled, and the rest had been forced to retreat. Our intelligence has been completely compromised, his strategic advisor admitted. New data suggests this was not a hasty defense but part of a long-term deception. The humans have maintained military capability while presenting themselves as pacifists. How? Grekthar demanded. How could they hide this from the entire galaxy? For over a century? It appears they hid it in plain sight, the advisor explained, bringing up images of human infrastructure before and during transformation. Their defense systems were disguised as civilian structures. Their training was integrated into cultural practices. Even their personnel believed they were civilians until activation protocols triggered hidden conditioning. A communication alert sounded. "Priority transmission from High Command," announced the communications officer. The screen showed the imposing figure of Supreme War Director Thox Khan, his battle-scarred face rigid with controlled fury. "War Commander, explain this failure." Grekthar bowed his head. "Supreme Director, we were misled. Human military capability far exceeds our intelligence assessments. Their technology appears to be at least a generation beyond our projections. Your battle group is one of 3 that attacked human colonies simultaneously," Thox Khan said. "All 3 encountered similar resistance. The humans were prepared, Grekthar. Not just at Proxima, but everywhere." The implications sent a chill through Grekthar's body. "A galaxy-wide deception. One that has made us look like fools." Thox Khan snarled. "The Galactic Council is in uproar. The humans have presented evidence that we launched unprovoked attacks on civilian installations. The fact that these civilian installations could defend themselves so effectively is being overshadowed by our aggression. What are your orders, Supreme Director?" "Full mobilization. If the humans have been deceiving us about their military capabilities, then we must assume they are preparing a counteroffensive. All Varaxian forces are being recalled to defensive positions." After the transmission ended, Grekthar turned to his second-in-command. "Send scouts to monitor human activity in neighboring systems. If they're mobilizing for attack, I want to know immediately." "Sir," the tactical officer interrupted, "long-range sensors are detecting unusual energy signatures from Earth's direction. Multiple vessels emerging from what appear to be civilian space stations." The main screen displayed the sensor readings. Where human space had previously shown only research vessels, cultural exchange ships, and civilian transports, now military-grade vessels were appearing in stunning numbers. Space stations that had been registered as artistic habitats or scientific outposts were reconfiguring into what could only be described as battle stations. "How many ships?" Grekthar asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "At current count, over 200. And more appearing as we watch." In the Strategic Continuity Office on Earth, Director Okafor watched the global address as President Garcia explained to a stunned humanity the truth behind Operation Sleeping Sentinel. "For over a century," the President said, her voice steady and assured, "humanity has genuinely pursued peace, art, scientific discovery, and cultural exchange. This was not a lie. We have become the society we presented to the galaxy, curious, creative, and committed to harmony among all sentient beings." The feed showed images of human achievements, gleaming cities devoted to learning and art, breakthrough scientific discoveries shared freely with the galaxy, the cultural exchanges that had made humans beloved throughout Council space. "But even as we embraced peace," Garcia continued, "a small group of visionaries recognized that not all species might share our commitment to nonviolence. The Strategic Continuity Office was established to ensure that humanity would never again be vulnerable to aggression while maintaining our dedication to peaceful progress." The images shifted to show the hidden defense systems now revealed across human space. Beautiful structures transforming to reveal their dual purpose, ordinary citizens accessing extraordinary capabilities. "We did not maintain a standing military, separate from our society," the President explained. "Instead, we integrated defense capabilities into everything we built and everyone we trained. Our artists, scientists, and explorers are our defenders. Our cultural centers, our research stations, our very homes were designed to transform if needed." She paused, her expression solemn. Today, that need arose. The Varaxian Empire launched coordinated attacks against 3 of our colonies, believing us defenseless. They have discovered their error. Humanity remains committed to peace, but we will never be victims. The sleeping sentinel has awakened. As the address concluded, Okafor turned to her team. "Phase 3? Colonel Martinez nodded. "Ready to implement. On your command." "Proceed," Okafor said. "It's time to show the Varaxians and the galaxy that humanity's embrace of peace was a choice, not a weakness." and that we are prepared to defend that choice with everything we have. Across human space, the next stage of Sleeping Sentinel began to unfold. The Sentinel was not just awake now, it was advancing. The counter-offensive commander, Elena Shaw, stood before the holographic display in Earth Fleet Command, studying the tactical situation unfolding across human space. Just 72 hours ago, she had been Dr. Elena Shaw, renowned xenobiologist specializing in communication with non-humanoid species. Now, activated neural pathways had awakened her other identity, the commander of Earth's most elite special operations unit. The Varaxians have withdrawn to defensive positions around their core systems, she reported to Director Okafor and the assembled leadership. They've called in their patrol fleets from across the sector. Their entire military is mobilizing. As expected, Okafor replied. They still don't understand what they're facing. They believe we're preparing a conventional assault. Admiral Reynolds, recently arrived from the Galactic Council Station, joined them at the display. The diplomatic situation is complex. Most council races are outraged, not by our hidden defenses, but by the fact that the Varaxians launched unprovoked attacks on what they believed were defenseless colonies. And Earth's deception? Asked President Garcia, who attended via secure holographic link. Being debated, Reynolds admitted. Many representatives argue that maintaining defensive capabilities while promoting peace does not violate Council principles. Others see it as a fundamental breach of trust. What matters now is our response to Varaxian aggression, Okafor said, redirecting the conversation. The Proxima colony attack was just the beginning. Intelligence confirms they planned a systematic conquest of human space. She gestured to the display, which showed Varaxian fleet movements over the past 6 months, a clear pattern of reconnaissance and positioning for a coordinated attack. Their mistake was believing their own assumptions about us, Shaw observed. They saw what they expected to see, a species that had forgotten how to fight. President Garcia leaned forward, her holographic form shimmering slightly. The question now is how we respond. The Sleeping Sentinel protocols give us defensive capability beyond anything the Varaxians anticipated. We could simply fortify and wait them out. That would be a mistake, Madam President, Shaw said firmly. The Varaxians respect only strength. If we adopt a purely defensive posture, they'll interpret it as weakness and look for another opportunity to strike. Commander Shaw is right, Admiral Reynolds added. Varaxian culture venerates decisive action. Their mythology is filled with stories of warriors who seized opportunity and struck when enemies showed hesitation. What do you propose? The President asked. Director Okafor nodded to Shaw, who stepped forward and manipulated the holographic display. The image shifted to show a massive space station orbiting a gas giant deep in Varaxian territory. This is the axis of dominion, the Varaxian Central Military Command Hub. All strategic decisions flow from this station. Our intelligence suggests it's currently hosting an emergency war council as they recalibrate their strategy against us. You want to attack their central command? President Garcia asked, clearly surprised. That would be an escalation beyond their initial aggression. Not an attack, Shaw clarified. An infiltration. My team can penetrate their command structure, access their strategic database, and extract their full war plans, including any allies they may have enlisted against us. Impossible, one of the military advisors objected. The Axis is the most heavily defended installation in Varaxian space. No non-Varaxian has ever set foot there. Shaw smiled slightly. No non-Varaxian they knew about. She touched a control, and the display showed what appeared to be Varaxians serving aboard the station. For the past decade, we've had operatives within their command structure, humans modified with adaptive biotechnology to appear Varaxian. Stunned silence fell over the room. This is beyond what I was briefed on, President Garcia said finally. How deep does Sleeping Sentinel go? Deeper than any one person knows, Okafor admitted. The program was designed with compartmentalized knowledge. Even I don't have full awareness of all its aspects. After a moment of consideration, the President nodded. Proceed with the infiltration, Commander Shaw. But I want to be absolutely clear. This is an intelligence-gathering operation only. No offensive strikes against Varaxian civilian targets. Understood, Madam President, Shaw replied. My team is prepared to depart immediately. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Reynolds joined Shaw in the corridor outside. The mission to the Axis is only half the plan, he said quietly. Shaw nodded. While the Varaxians are focused on our supposed infiltration of their command hub, the real operation will target their forward base at Proxima Centauri. Exactly. Reynolds handed her a data crystal. These are your full orders. The Proxima base is more than just a military installation. It's where they've been developing weapons based on stolen human technology. Shaw's eyes widened slightly. They've been weaponizing our scientific advancements. For years, their attack on our colonies wasn't just about territorial expansion. They wanted our latest research before we could discover what they've been doing with what they already stole. 12 hours later, Commander Shaw's team prepared for departure aboard the Night Shadow, a vessel that appeared on all official records as a diplomatic courier ship but had been designed from inception as a stealth infiltrator. Her crew of 30 consisted of individuals who had lived double lives for years, outwardly scientists, diplomats, and cultural attachés while maintaining peak combat readiness through disguised training. Final equipment check, Shaw ordered as they prepared to depart Earth orbit. Lieutenant Kwan, formerly a renowned concert pianist whose neural conditioning had awakened his abilities as a tactical specialist, reported from his station. All systems nominal, stealth systems at full capacity. Adaptive camouflage calibrated to Varaxian signatures, added Dr. Omosu, who had published groundbreaking papers on xenobiology while secretly developing the biotechnology that allowed humans to infiltrate alien societies. Shaw studied her team, artists, scientists, and thinkers who had been secretly trained as warriors without sacrificing their genuine passion for their civilian pursuits. They represented the true success of Sleeping Sentinel. Humanity had not pretended to embrace peace and culture. They had truly done so while maintaining the ability